sure they actually cooperate with me this time. Yay, we are live. Okay, sounding good. I do have I'm getting over a very extensive head cold. Um, so I'm going to sound a little bit like shit, just an FYI.
Oh, something Mara pointed out that I should mention is that we had a very brief power out earlier. So
Hmm.
if everything suddenly cuts off from my end, I guess we're just leaving the session there. Everything's been fine for hours, but the power of the internet could go because we did just have a tropical storm pass through here.
Fair enough. Yeah, tropical storms suck. Alright. Hello and welcome, dear patrons, to the Tables of Tartarus, a chapter of Purgatory Corner. Today, our storyteller is Benny, or AutisDM, on TikTok, and today we're going to be continuing the tale of Oceans Ablaze. Come on in, take a seat, and let your imagination run free. As always, a huge shout out to Pastry Boy Fritter. If you guys are interested in either being shouted out or interested in most of other content, or even creating stuff like are what's the word? I've blanked so hard on. um NPCs and towns and even up to BBGs, feel free to go to our Patreon. Just an FYI for all the folks who are new or just watching, I do have a minor head cold. I am finally getting over it after like a week and a half, so I sound kind of like shit and my memory's gonna be awful, but we'll see how this goes. All right, Benny, if you'd like to take it away.
Thank you so much for having me on. So the party have been tasked with stopping brewing war. The Princess Liliana keeps turning up in the city of Spazin where she's not supposed to be. And Spazin and their allies are essentially threatening war with her home city of Trinoa and their allies. And where the party is now, you're on your handy dandy fishing boat. You're approaching one of the ports outside of Spazin, and you're going to have to talk your way into the port of this great power in a time of brewing conflict. So we're looking forward to seeing how you all do that. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do our usual round of introductions. And the question for today is, what is your character value in a friend? And I know most of the members of this party are somewhat mercenary types. So the first thing that's going to come to mind is they value someone useful or someone who will have their back or possibly someone who can be manipulated. But I'm talking about on a deeper level than that. What would they value in someone that they actually consider a friend beyond just the immediate? And to start the ball, we're going to go with Signa. Please go ahead and give us your character's race, classes, because this is a Gestalt campaign. Everybody has two, and then what they value in a friend.
So my character is a high elf fighter rogue multi-class, and she would value someone who tolerates her rather extreme fanatical worship of the deep gods, or even also worships those gods in a very similar way, but just generally, again, tolerates all of Signa's actual behaviors on that front, because even the rest of the crew raise eyebrows when mysteriously sailors are pulled to the bottom of the depths at Signa's hand. And someone who's just cool with that would be really nice.
All right. So you have kind of an interesting mix of wholesome and the exact opposite of that, because it's a you do you mentality, but what you doing you is doing is murder. Um, at the risk of quibbling, something I do want to point out is that after Signa's unfortunate brush with death, which was not at all the fault of one of her crewmates, we established that while her character still presents as a high elf, her stats and abilities are those of a Dhampir, vampiric folk. All right, moving on, we have Princess Marina. Same questions.
So Marina is a Circle the Shepherd druid and a bard of College of the Lore. She is a Triton's. What she sees in a friend is, well, seeks out, is just someone that kind of shares that same value or kind of mortality or excitement for adventure. Because she loves the adventure, she loves like seeing the different ways people would interact and how events play out. But also, she isn't one that is for like murdering people and taking advantage and such. She wants to give people a chance, unless proven otherwise. And she wants them to be loyal and friendly.
Right. So she values people who are adventurous but not reckless or unethical.
Yeah, but she likes Locke.
Who doesn't? Well, on that note, Locke, same questions for you.
Locke is a goblin, artificer, artillerist, alchemist, mad bomber, and as cavalier as it seems that Locke is with life, there's a quality in friendship that, for the most part, it's a person that's, I guess, shows a certain level of kindness to really those who need it the most.
Hmm.
You know?
All right, so he does have an altruistic streak about him, and he appreciates that in others.
Hmm.
All right. And that brings us finally to the illustrious Captain Ace.
So Ace is a human, rogue swashbuckler, and hexblade warlock combination. What he sees in a friend is extremely complicated for him, because he doesn't really view anyone as a friend, just because of how he sees them being more numbers or necessities more than anything else. So I suppose in terms of like being an actual like true friend of his, it would probably have to be that it would be someone that he would feel is indispensable. Someone that he believes he could not replace no matter what came up next. Someone that he feels is so important, not to the mission, but necessarily to him, that's how he would categorize a friendship.
So it's kind of a you complete me vibe, but not really in a particularly romantic or wholesome way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough. All right. So yeah, you're approaching the port. You're far enough away that you can see that there is land there, and you can even see the outline of some of the bigger ships. You're still far enough away that you're reasonably confident that nobody could probably make out what's going on your vessel, nor would they have any particular reason to. While your Revenge is outfitted as a smuggler, to anyone who doesn't know what it is, it just appears to be a fairly innocuous fishing boat. So you have a little bit of time to prepare how it is you're going to present yourself as you make your way into port.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the question, how do you want to do that?
I say we rough her up a bit.
Yeah. Ace would probably talk to you about that, Locke, because that's something he would be thinking too, is like, why would we need to port? You know, what's a good explanation for that? And then roughing up the ship, or maybe needing supplies is always a good one for fishermen, especially.
Yeah, I mean, There were marks left by the tentacle that dragged us down, right?
Yes, nothing substantial, but we could definitely improve upon it.
My suggestion,
Mhm.
we take this little fishing vessel, rough it up, a little bit of char, tear up the sails a bit. We disguise ourselves as completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
And if our legend is spread far enough, we might be able to use our own legend in our favor.
True. I'm acquainted with a small network of smugglers, so I could call upon them to help us out there as well. Disguises or whatever you need after we dock the ship. So we just need to be able to dock the ship, and then anything past that should be easy enough to convince most people for.
No offense, but I think we should probably be disguised before we leave the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because if 4 new people come back to pick up a ship that was left to be repaired and dry docked,
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna give it to us.
That's fair. Unfortunately, I have no disguising things. I'm not sure how much disguising stuff we have on the ship. You got anything?
Well, and I reach into my bag and I pull out my disguise kit. I've got all these like weird little brushes and paints and shit, and some like bits and pieces of cloth. Yeah, you remember how I made myself look like an angry kobold?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Paint you up good, buddy.
What should we do with our weapons? I think you have a bag for it, don't you?
Oh yeah, we could put pretty much everything in the bag. Yeah.
All right. So we can put
I
our
mean,
weapons into the bag then.
anything that can't be concealed, which I'm
Mm.
pretty sure is maybe just Cygna's sword.
Well, my one too. I mean, I have my other one, my little dimension, but I pull out my scimitar. This one, not scimitar. No, yes, scimitar. Try to remember which one I put away. But I pull out my scimitar. I'm like, this one also need to be hidden. I have my other one in that I can just make appear, but I mean, we're fishermen. I don't
Well,
think fishermen use scimitars.
I guess that depends on the fish.
That's true.
But yeah, we'll stuff all that in the bag. You guys just make sure you stay close, because if you need your stuff and you're too far away, I can only throw it so far.
Fair, fair. Cygna, Marina, how you feel about roughing up the boat?
As long as there's no explosives, I'm down.
Oh, I'll break the boat.
I mean, that'd be easy enough, but do we really have to rough it up? I feel bad about doing so.
It'll be fine. Anything that we rough up, we can buff out.
Yeah, and we can
Fair
cover
enough.
the dry dock.
We have a master, he kind of looks at Locke for a second, craftsman with us. It'll be fine.
Don't worry, I will craft the
If you say
perfect.
so.
I will craft the perfect amount of damage for this particular ship. Don't you worry.
Alright, cool. So,
All right,
fuck up the boat just a little bit and have Locke play with our faces.
All right, so it looks like Cygna, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
Not especially. It sounds like a good plan.
Okay. So, Locke, we're going to need 2 checks from you. The first one you're going to do at advantage because the rest of the crew is helping you.
Right.
And that's going to be the make the ship look like she's in rough shape.
Okie dokie.
And are you trying to make it look like it's in rough shape from a weather event, or make it look like it's in rough shape from an attack? Like, what's the specific goal here?
My tools are better suited to making it look like we were attacked, and
Okay.
basically trying to fib our way through by saying that we were attacked by us.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Go ahead and make that roll.
Here we go. So the highest roll on the dice was a big ol' 5.
And what's your intelligence modifier?
That's a +5. And
Okay.
then if we want to add my proficiency bonus.
Sure, why not?
Oh, wait a second. I think if I'm using
That's
my
a
tool,
+3 because you're
that's next.
So basically what the result of this is that you all are able to create some damage on the ship. It's the kind of thing where if somebody were to really look closely at what's going on with the boat, they would start asking awkward questions like about the consistency of the damage and why is the boat damaged and not you and that kind of stuff. But at a glance, it looks like it was damaged in some kind of attack. The next one is going to be, I guess we'll call this performance. And again, we'll go ahead and do this with advantage. You need to use your disguise kit to make up the crew to look like something other than what they are.
Well, with a +0.
I mean, Marina could do disguise self.
Okay.
I don't think you can do so well with hiding her ears.
Okay, so Marina's doing that, and then the rest of you are getting are getting goblin eye for the tall guy or something. I don't know.
Here we go. Damn, my dice must be tired. I rolled a 4.
Oh,
And I don't
boy.
I don't have any modifiers to go with performance.
Oh, God.
+0 to my charisma.
I mean, think of it like this. If you roll low enough with a makeup kit, we'll still end up looking like different people, just like clowns instead.
How about, can we say that I had the opportunity to cast Enhance Ability on myself?
Sure, yeah, I'll allow that.
And I can...
Inspiration.
Sure, yeah. That's
There
what
we
those
go.
things are for.
It's like, oh, hey, no, Locke, let's use this color on Ace. That makes him look like a clown.
Yeah. What? You never heard of the cloying up north?
No, but I don't think they'll believe us too well if he looks like that.
Yeah,
Though
you're
it's quite funny. It gets rid of that scary face of his.
I think
Yeah,
vomit green does look quite nice on me, Alok.
Honestly, yeah.
with an 18 to the roll now.
Okay, yeah, that's now you're actually getting into a situation where you managed to make Ace into a wizened old fisherman, and actually because
Everybody?
and what does Locke want to look like? Oh, we
He
lost
died.
Locke.
his fucking tablet was just like, I'm not letting you answer that.
Hang on a second. I lost connection for a second there, I think.
You good?
Yeah, you're good. We hear you again.
All right. Where are we now?
So you managed to make Ace look like a wizened old fisherman. So I'm just going to say that one roll was for you, Ace, and Signa. What does Locke want to end up looking like?
I think the closest thing to me would be some form of just a gnome, like just dirty fishing. Yeah, basically just a gnome that doesn't bathe as often as he probably should.
Okay. So yeah, and you now have gone to looking like a goblin with average hygiene for a goblin to a gnome with terrible hygiene for a gnome. And finally, Signa. What does Signa want to wind up looking like in this?
Well, Signa's going to try and look a little bit more alive than she currently is. And other than that, she's going to try and hide certain discerning features like cult tattoos and stuff to just look like a fairly normal, innocuous high elf.
Okay. So a little bit of concealer goes a long way. And Marina, you're using disguise self. What are you disguising yourself as?
I guess since everyone's looking like human, I will also look like a raggedy human.
Okay.
So,
All right. So you succeed at that because the spell just, there's no real checks for it at this stage of it anyway. All right. So as you are approaching port, what you're going to notice before you're even close to a dock is there's a lot of activity in this port. And the specific activity is people are building ships, and it's a method of shipbuilding that none of you have really seen before. It's not people assembling a ship to launch into the water. It's people are assembling, essentially mass producing parts of ships and then assembling them, which is a process you've never seen before and wouldn't have any reference for. Anytime you've ever seen anyone build a vessel, they were doing it one at a time. And this, of course, is requiring a lot of manpower, and there's a variety of different kinds of peoples here, and there's a lot of shouting back and forth, and you're still at a little bit of a distance, so it's hard to hear in detail, but you get the impression that some of the shouting back and forth is not all of the laborers necessarily speak the same language, so they're overcoming language barriers and doing hand gestures and things like that to make themselves understood. And inevitably, there are those who are responding to language barriers by saying whatever they have to say louder and slower. But that's not your immediate concern. Your immediate concern is a well outfitted warship hails you and basically just signals for you to essentially drop anchor where you are.
Ace
What do
will
you
kind of move y'all to start dropping the anchor.
Okay. You started to take a look.
While we're doing that, I'm assuming that our talkers are going to be either Ace and Marina or Ace and Signa.
Yeah, that was my plan, I believe.
All right. So I'm going to reach into my coat real quick, and I'm going to use my. I'm going to use 2 sorcery points to twin spell. Enhance ability.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hand Ace and who's taking the second one?
Marina can.
I'm gonna hand you two each what looks like a small beer bottle, but the top's already popped off with a little eagle on the front of it, and you both have advantage on charisma checks for the next hour.
Yo, that's a lot of charisma for me.
Okay. Yeah, I can work with that.
Oh, that's exciting.
All right. So you all drop anchor, and the other ship pulls up alongside you. And an older gentleman who, wearing a sailor's uniform that looks like it's seen better days, but is still fairly well kept up. Just going to shout down to you, state your business here.
In a kind of older man style voice, Ace will essentially just say, "Hail! I apologize for the sudden approach. We came to fix up our ship a little bit. We got attacked, a couple of pirates, and we're just fishermen trying to pass on by, trying to head into port. Didn't mean any difficulty."
So he's going to glance over your ship and gonna say, well, looks like you weren't attacked by especially competent pirates. It was if they just finished cutting your riggings or something like that, they probably would have had a lot better luck. That's okay. Go ahead, Ace, and give us a deception check. And since that's charisma, Locke's thing will give you advantage.
Will do. That is going to be a unnatural 22.
All right. So he's going to direct you. You see a dock where there's a lot of the smaller ships that look to be civilian vessels are already docked.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can go ahead and put in there and pay the dock master. And welcome to Gulfport. Listen, I know I'm sure you all are great at your fisherman thing, but you have a boat and the four of you look reasonably competent. They're seriously looking for mercenaries right now. So if you're looking to make some coin, even just ferrying troops, it's good money to be had. Anyway, take care.
We'll
And
keep
with
that in mind. Thank you. And
Yep.
he'll start raging for Locke to start bringing the boat in.
Okay. All right. So as you bring the boat into harbor, the noise and activity gets a lot louder. And you can see that while there are a lot of people working, there are also a lot of people who are sort of milling about as though they're waiting for something. And not necessarily waiting for something as in bags packed, ready to leave, but waiting for something as in maybe waiting for something in the next couple of days.
Mhm.
There's a real restless air about the place. And the people who look like they're waiting for something are 201, all walking around armed. And in this tense atmosphere, there is a feeling that, not really for any particular reason, but just because generally people are both armed and uptight, a brawl could pop off at any time. You are able to dock your ship without any particular incident, and where you are is around a day's walk from the main city of Spathen. During the collapse, essentially the main city was destroyed and then rebuilt further inland, so these fishing ports serve as the port of the city.
Mm.
So as you're entering this port town, you are on a bit of a timeline because I believe Disguise Self only lasts for an hour. So Marina doesn't necessarily, there's not necessarily anybody looking for Marina in particular, but it might raise some eyebrows if Marina just reverted back to their normal appearance in plain sight. You could just duck around a corner and find a secluded alley to drop the spell, or you could do something else. It's up to you all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking I'll end up doing. That I'll drop the spell at some point and go like as a pet or something, or try to
We gotta
either
find your
cast it again or
cloak.
figure it out. Yeah. Gotta find a cloak.
So,
Alright.
is there a shop around us? Any area that we can buy shit in?
Yeah, you don't have any real problem finding a seaside shop where you're able to buy a hooded cloak. As you walk in, again, what you're going to notice is kind of more of the same. There are people who are just kind of hanging around who the shopkeeper is urging to, finish their browsing. The whole "are you sure there's nothing I can help you find" vibe, and but it's a little bit more tense than it would be if it was just a regular bodega, because the people in question, in this case, are a group of fairly well-armed bugbears who, after they get done with their perusing, give you all kind of a strange measuring look, but then move on. And with that, the shopkeeper, who's an older dwarf, is going to ask what it is he can interest you in.
We're looking to see if you had a hooded cloak, my good sir. We're traveling fishermen, and unfortunately, in this kind of area, might be a little bit difficult to move around without such a utility.
Sure. And he immediately directs you to a waterproofed cloak. It's been it's like leather treated with wax, like that kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to quote you a price of 2 GP for it.
Nice, nice. I believe, Locke, you have the money?
I do. And I'd reach in and I slide him a couple of gold pieces.
Nice, nice.
My pleasure. And I don't know if you're here for the coming conflict, but if you are, be safe out there.
Well,
It's
we
always
haven't
nice to-
actually heard much about that. We've been on the seas for quite some time now, trying to gather the fish and the like. And coming back in, we saw the warship, and they were warning us about the military, and we were kind of curious about what all that was. Do you know of it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Good. No, good that you asked. So yeah, the Princess Liliana, she fell in love with our prince. She decided to settle here, and the king has blessed the union, and they're going to live happily ever after. But those killjoy bastards in Trinoa want her to come back and marry some cousin of hers or something. I don't know all the details.
Hmm.
I mean, you know how those Trinoans are. They're strange people. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, we're going to defend our royal family and our town's honor. And the king has spared no expense raising an army. There are people here from different cities. There are people here from the inland. Yeah, I mean, the seas are going to be thick with our ships. The Trinoans will never know what hit them. Go ahead and give us, anybody who wants to can do this, give us an insight check.
Will do.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Be a solid 9.
Okay.
That's going to be a 19.
Okay, so on a 19, what this person is saying has a very scripted quality to it. And your best guess is that it's hard to tell whether he truly believes what he's saying or not, but it would probably not go well for him if he was telling people, this war is a stupid idea, or I really don't want to send people I know off to fight and die for the fact that the prince got horned, like that kind of thing. He may or may not be drinking the Kool-Aid, but it's more of a situation where he knows he needs to talk like he is.
Interesting. Well, thank you for the information, my good sir. Hopefully this conflict gets resolved without any real difficulty. I don't know what's like on the mainland, but on the seas it gets pretty violent, so I do hope you stay safe.
Oh, I'm going to be. Somebody has to stay home and tend the home fires, as it were. Well, whatever you decide to do, be well.
Indeed. And he's gonna kind of turn around and start walking out.
Okay.
Then he's gonna look at Marina and kind of hand her the coat or the cloak. It should do for now.
Thank you. Yep, this will help a lot. And Marina will put it on, make sure she's like well covered for when her spell drops.
Okay, you managed to do that. It takes you some time to make your way through the town because it's so crowded. In addition to the large numbers of what you gather to be mercenaries are here, there are large numbers of people who are peddling everything from food to, shall we say, company to just novelties and junk. And there's dice games going on the street and things like that.
Your audio's breaking up. Ooh.
Here, I'm going to drop off and come back.
I think.
Was that me?
Yeah, you're cracking up on my end.
You're cracking up on my end too.
That's
Is it any
weird.
better now?
Yeah.
It's
Your audio's fine.
Yeah, apparently it was me that was cracking up. Hold on just a moment. There we go. Hopefully that fixed it. Sorry about
I
that.
can hear you. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, everyone's clear.
Okay.
Hold on just a
right.
moment. Let me fix my audio real quick. Da-da-da. Hold on, boys and girls. Do. Sometimes my audio likes to have minor feedback, which is very annoying. Okay, I should be able to hear you guys now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So there's generally a tremendous amount of activity in this port town, and it's taking you some time to wend your way through these crowded streets. As you're doing so, is there anything in particular you're trying to do, or are you just trying to make the best time you can?
Ace would probably try to keep giving off the impression that they're fishermen and fisher people. So he would be going to various vendors of fish or fishing equipment or just other things that would necessarily be interesting for most fishermen to look at. But consistently moving inwards to try to get to the city itself.
Okay. For a place that's known as a fishing village or a fishing port, you find surprisingly little in the way of actual fishing equipment. Most of what's being sold is either just novelties and sort of junk that is obviously people are assuming these mercenaries have more money than brains, or it's things like whetstones to sharpen your weapons and polish to polish armor with and things like that, and copious amounts of alcohol, of stuff ranging from high quality beverages to things that look like gut rot. Is anybody else trying to do or observe anything as you go, or are you just moving it along?
Marina would definitely be observing people as they go, just trying to get like a gauge of what the mood is, what's going on.
Okay. What's Marina's passive perception?
Her passive perception is just had it 20.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and give us a perception check on top of that.
That would be an unnatural 21.
Okay. So basically,
Yeah, she has a plus 10 to that.
all right. So what you're getting out of this is that a lot of the people who are here really don't want to be. And not only do they not want to be in this place, but because it's a variety of different kinds of people, it's like bugbears rubbing elbows with dwarves, rubbing elbows with orcs, rubbing elbows with Goliaths. It's not just a question of they don't want to be in this place. A lot of them don't want to be in this place with each other in particular. And so it's an odd, tense conglomeration of people.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that Marina will, like, in a whisper tone, just for only the group to hear, and it's like, well, it seems like everyone here isn't really in the best of moods and really don't want to be here with the other races involved, but they don't have much of a choice.
Concerning. If even a single spark gets lit, then we could have a full-scale fight happening here. Could be useful for distractions if we need it, but a lot of bloodshed.
Oh, we're totally gonna need a distraction. We have no exit.
Yeah.
As a former member of a cult, I am an expert at getting people to fight each other in various different ways, especially around religion. Religion makes a great point of conflict.
I mean, that is true, but I don't. If we could avoid having people fight each other, that'd be great, because lesser amount of bloodshed we'll have to do, the better.
Indeed.
But the trick is getting the princess to come with us, especially since it sounds like she's already going to be betrothed.
So
Well,
at this point, I'm going to remind the party that you're moving through crowded streets as this conversation is happening, and I'm going to ask everybody to make a stealth check.
Will do.
Because you're not necessarily trying not to be seen, but you're trying not to be heard.
It's a unnatural 25.
Okay.
That's a natural 20 here.
All right.
That's an unnatural 22.
Okay.
Come on, Locke.
Mm,
Lock.
How's your sleepy
Come
dice?
on.
26.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So yeah, somehow while you are having this very illicit conversation, you manage to have it quietly amongst yourselves and all the noise and confusion that's going on here. Nobody's really catching on.
hmm I'll probably whisper to the group, if we're here, then it's very likely there are others. If anything, to kidnap a high specialized target, such as the princess or even the prince, if anyone wanted to start a fight here, it would not take a whole lot. So we better be very careful about whether or not we get in between all of these.
I mean, if I reach into my bag of tricks here and I throw a couple of things out into the crowd, I can pretty much make any distraction we want.
Mm-hmm.
And Signa can then create another can then help us with creating more distractions, sort of leapfrogging between the two of us.
I have a couple of spells that could do the same, such as my Thunderstep ability, which is loud. If you ever see me disappear, just immediately cover your ears, because it will not be pleasant.
We need to find a quiet spot so we can figure out first
Mm-hmm.
how to get in.
We
Second,
gotta move in town a little
for the
bit,
package.
then we can find one.
Second, how to secure the package. And third, how we're going to get back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because something tells me she's not just going to walk through the streets with us.
That's true.
So we're going to have to figure out a way to carry what will ostensibly look like a dead body, because she's going to need to be unconscious.
Yeah.
And I can't stick her in the bag here. There's no oxygen in there. That's why the food keeps so well. And I reach in, pull out a tentacle, and just rip a piece off.
I'm not gonna ask where you found that.
That's from the
Honestly,
banquet.
that's quite fascinating, though your bag can do that. Especially
yeah.
since you can keep such delicacies in there for so long from the ocean.
I
There's
forgot
no
there was a
oxygen.
tentacle there.
Can't rot.
I don't know why y'all eat tentacles. I mean, I guess you are secret people. Ah, well.
Buddy, if you weren't sucking in oxygen, I'd probably be eating something off of you.
I want to say
Right.
something so badly.
Like, Ace just, like,
Sorry,
full on
anyway.
stops and, like, looks at you for a second before just kind of shrugging and continue to move forwards. He's like, uh-huh. So, yeah, anyways,
As this is happening, someone who looks to be a native Spathan is going to be walking past you and overhears that and only that part of the conversation, and she just shakes her head and says foreigners and keeps moving.
old man being talked down to by a gnome.
Oh, I forgot. That's what you guys look like.
It's a very funny mental picture.
Anyway.
But you'll say, well, your disguise kit should work fairly well. That's assuming that she cooperates. So we'll see. We'll fix that when we get to it. As the old saying goes, burn the boat once you step onto it, and the boat does not function.
Well, do any of us have a way of putting somebody to sleep for a short period of time? Because I don't.
Slowly looks at Signa.
I don't have the same capabilities that I used to, but punching people really hard in the face usually does the trick.
I don't think we want her nose broken.
Spell book. Let's find out.
Yeah, hostages are worth a lot more if they're not roughed up.
Yeah. Oh, if we can get her to be a willing part, that'd be interesting. From the sounds of it, I'm not sure if she is. She might be, but anyone who says they came in, dramatically fell in love, and then decide to stay are usually not the story that's being told.
Well, luckily, as a former member of a cult, I'm great at convincing people to do things they otherwise wouldn't.
You know,
All
if
right.
this is a cult, then that's more concerning.
All right. Well, I guess exit strategy is going to be my department.
I mean, I could. It's not something I prefer to do, but I can always paralyze her.
Yes.
Or I can disguise myself as her fiance.
Ooh.
We'll see. That might be a good tactic, especially if you can bring her to the boat. Be
A mix of
interesting.
both. Mix of both might be needed.
Yeah. You're shockingly useful.
Thank
I knew
you.
that's why we kept you along.
Uh, technically, it was to deliver her, but that didn't go as well.
Hey, now we're delivering her.
Better late than never, right?
Exactly. Just
All right,
think of it that way.
So on that note, by the time, as you're having this conversation, you're making your way through the streets of the town. The city itself is behind high walls. And unfortunately, by the time you get there, the the gates are being closed for the night. So you're going to have a couple of options here. You can attempt to, by one means or another, get past the gate or over the wall, or you can find an inn and just kind of hunker down for the night, make your plan, and do whatever you're going to do in the morning.
How high's the wall?
About 40 feet.
About 40 feet. Does
Do
it look like... Do we see anybody walking back and forth across it?
Yes, you do. There are torches being set atop the wall, and there are towers about every couple hundred feet that look like they sort of overlook the rest of it. The construction itself looks like pretty solid stone.
Looks like guard work. Do we want to go in now or do we want to wait? I don't think there's too much of a difference.
I have a suggestion.
Oh.
I can walk on walls, so if someone gives me a rope, I can just walk up the wall and toss the rope down.
Well, actually, I was going to suggest something similar, and you won't have to worry about anybody seeing you before you get to the top.
Oh.
If we wait till dark, and we can find a nice dark spot, I can just make one of you show up at the top of the wall.
It'd be interesting. Do we need to get in there right now?
Well, I don't think we actually do, because if the whole place is asleep, there's less guards. There's less people in general.
Though I'm not sure who's allowed to stay in the city, or if we need papers for passage into the city. So, if we try going the normal way, they might decline us anyways.
Probably.
Suppose we could ask.
So what do you want to do? You want to wait till it's dark out, try to find a nice dark spot, send somebody up top, and the rest of us climb?
Let's go to an inn, ask around a little bit, and then, depending on what they tell us about entering the city, then we can find the dark spot, because we have to wait until it's nighttime anyways, so might as well get information while we do so.
Good idea.
I agree with that idea.
Okay.
All right, so you find a tavern called the Drunken Mermaid, and the place is pretty busy. The only spot where there's openings at the table is where a group of 3 fairly rough-looking bugbears are sitting. And as they see the group of the 4 of you enter, and you do that awkward thing where you're looking around for a table, one of them gestures to the empty spot in a actually surprisingly friendly manner.
Ace will walk over, still inside that kind of old man routine as he slowly sits down. He's like, "Hello there."
Hey, we ain't met many people who spend their time on the sea, but you smell like the water.
Aye, I'm an older fisherman. We came in after we were attacked by some pirates to fix up our ship a little bit, get some resources. You know how it is.
Not really. I never saw the ocean before we came here, but sounds
Oh,
good.
where'd you come from? I don't think I've seen one of your kind before. No offense meant, of course.
No, we usually keep to the forest lands, but it's been wild times there. There have been bandits and marauders, and usually when folk like that come through, well, we just come through after them and pick up the pieces of the villages and whatnot they wreck. But they've been even hunting orc camps and bugbear camps and everything else. I've never seen anything quite like it.
Huh.
So we could have stayed there and fought over, well, nothing essentially. I mean, there's nothing out there that's worth it other than just food. Or we were offered a pile of gold to come here and fight. So gonna fight somewhere. We might as well get paid,
Yeah, sounds like a good deal. I noticed the city had closed its gates. Do you guys know why?
Oh yeah, well, these city folk, they think everybody outside of the city is a barbarian who's going to kill and eat them.
Oof.
So they'll usually let you walk around a bit during the daytime if you got, but if you want to stay during the night or if you want to get in at night, you need a really good reason to be there.
Ah. Do they take papers, or is it just you give them a good reason and they'll accept it?
You have to leave your weapons at the gate, and getting them back, I heard, can be a little bit difficult. And of course, if you don't look like you belong there, then while you're inside, all eyes are on you.
Interesting.
And one of the other bugbears at the table is going to say, "Why? Why would they have a problem with us being in town?" And before anybody can answer, he just kind of turns away from the table, presses a finger against his nose, and blows his nose directly onto the floor. And he's just going to, like, without really breaking sentence, he's going to be like, we have good manners, we have good intentions, we were invited to be here. It's kind of insulting, honestly.
You do seem like nice folks. Honestly, I've been on the seas for many years. I've encountered many difficult people. But honestly, you invited me over for conversation, and I have no idea why they would turn away such kind folk as you.
Well, a tavern maid is going to come over and essentially offer to take everybody's orders. Is the party going to go ahead and eat here, or are you trying to make this really quick and maybe just order an ale or something like that?
I'd probably let the party decide on that.
Sigda's eager to keep moving and doesn't want to stay in one place for too long to eat.
Okay.
I think a quick drink at a tavern's probably a good idea. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Marina will just. Actually, no, she's curious. She'll have something small and a drink.
Okay.
In that case, Ace will kind of waver and go. I'll take one ale. I'm trying to make sure that I have to keep waking up the next night. We'll be on our way here soon, anyways.
Ah, come on, you old geezer. How many times do we make it into port like this? What's the bartender's specialty?
That's a good point, ma'am. What would be your specialty?
No, never special around here, sweetie. We just serve old sailors like yourself. No offense, but they don't pay for the ambience. They pay for the drinks.
Ah. Well, in that case, we'll take a nice ale. Some of your well, it's an ale, so whatever you got for me.
We'll get you our finest vintage last Tuesday. And with that, she goes off and gets the drinks.
Mhm.
And the bugbears are kind of watching this interaction with some interest. And the one who's been the most talkative is going to say, I don't understand you civilized type folk. I mean, beverage is a beverage. If it's got alcohol in it, it's going to do the job.
When you're on the sea for quite some time, you can make alcohol from nearly anything, from seawater to seaweed, but I do quite like the taste of ale in some cases. It's not rare I get it this is made from land-based grain. So when I do get the chance to come into port, it's always nice to taste it and to indulge myself a little bit, you know?
So they're all nodding along, but by the expressions in their eyes, you get the sense that they don't have much idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Ace, let's go ahead and have just a general charisma check from you.
Will do. That'd be an 18.
All right. So basically, the conversation goes on for some time. And what's really clear as you're talking to these guys is that at least one of them recognized you for a sailor or your group as sailors when you came in.
Mm.
They've never been to sea before and have no idea what to expect.
Mm.
So they're curious to talk to you to get some idea of what they're going to be up against. And as this conversation goes on, especially with that high of a roll, you're able to get information out of them without it necessarily being obvious that that's what you're trying to do.
Nice.
Essentially, what you learn is that the fleet is planning to set sail likely within the next week at the most. And there's a lot of eagerness for that event to happen. Just there's a general tension in the town as this looming conflict is happening. A lot of the inns are overcrowded, and with so many different kinds of people who don't necessarily get along with each other, who have been brought here for this one purpose, there's, as I said before, there's a feeling that something could pop off. So everybody just wants to get things moving.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interim, people's imaginations are starting to run away with them as far as what kind of fleet and army Trinoa might be building or what kind of dangers might be out there at sea.
Mm.
Which leaves you in a bit of a potentially an interesting situation, which is that since these people have this particular group of people and ostensibly a lot of the other people they're going to talk to between now and when they set sail have no real knowledge of the sea, whatever you say to them is going to very drastically shape their interpretation of what's going to happen once they set out. So the question is, are you painting it as going to sea is incredibly dangerous and only the bravest people do it, and Trinoa is an incredibly well-defended port town and attacking it as suicide? Or are you painting this as the Trinoans are a bunch of soft merchants and it's going to be smooth sailing from here to there, or something in between?
So what he would probably do, because he wants the tensions to kind of stay as they are to some degree and make it so they are less likely to go out. He's going to hold true to the fact that he's been on the sea for a long time. So he's not really going to talk about the Trinoans or anything, because he hasn't had a port. But what he is going to tell them is about the actual, dangers of the sea, from giant sea monsters, ones that can pull your ship down to the ocean's bottom without even rising out of it, and various other dangers of that type, from whirlpools to hurricanes to stuff like that. Kind of painting it as like what you have to worry about is not getting to them and fighting the Genoans. It's being on the sea is dangerous. And it's not necessarily for like the bravest of the brave can get their way through. It's like time, skill, necessities. Make sure you have all your resources. Make sure you plan out carefully and stuff like that. Essentially trying to make them think that they need to wait a little bit longer and they need to plan And if they don't, they're going to lose all their people before they even get there.
Okay. And so as you're doing all of this, what you're going to see is there's a variety of reactions from these bugbears as you're telling them the story. They all seem to believe you, but some of them get really wide-eyed. One of them needs to go to the privies right now, but the one you've been talking to the most, and one of the other ones are just kind of nodding along with that look of like, okay, it's a challenge. I'm up for this. So the response is varying somewhat by the personality of the person responding.
Could I have Signa chip in to try and aid in dissuading these people?
Sure. What's Signa going to assist with here?
Signa's going to add with, and for any of you who think that you are going to be the special lot who managed to make it across the ocean, let me tell you that even if you have all the proper supplies and provisions and expertise, I once sailed in a flotilla with 13 ships, and 6 of those ships went down in a particularly nasty storm. Nothing the crew could have done better. Those were the best men I ever worked with, and they still went down. If the best seamen couldn't possibly survive one storm, what makes a lot of you think that you'll have any better of a shot without even better preparation?
Okay, you're gonna need to roll pretty high on an intimidation check.
Okay.
Ooh, boy.
Can I chip in to give her advantage?
Yeah, you can. We'll call this the help action. How you don't have time to really hand off a potion or anything. How are you going to do this?
I'm just gonna lean forward with my ale in my hands, staring into it. And if the storms don't get you, oh man, just pray that you keep getting wind. If you get stuck in that one spot where there's no wind, you're not going anywhere. You're just there until you starve.
All right, and so this does two things. One of them, Signa, the bugbears initially took a little bit of personal offense to what you were saying. It sounded more like as opposed to talking about the general dangers of the sea, it sounded more like a specific "you can't make it" kind of thing. So Locke's little interjection, apart from presenting a new kind of terror, makes it less personal. And with all of that in mind, go ahead and roll intimidation with advantage.
Okay. So that is going to be a 23? 24. 24. I'm sorry.
All right. So might as well roll for them. So a couple of them visibly start to panic, and the one who's done most of the talking up to this point is going to look at them and just say, "Calm down, you absolute buns. Look at these guys. These are sailors. They like to tell their big stories." And he's going to look at Ace and he's going to say, come on. We all know you sailors like to tell stories. Tell them about the time." And he holds his arms out like as wide as he can. "Tell them about the time you caught a fish this big."
Oh, the biggest fish I've ever caught was bigger than this entire room. I had to struggle for days and nights when I was but a child. I had to have an entire crew on top of me, trying to just hold it down. We ate plenty that night and for weeks to come. It was good times. The biggest scariness of a fish is not quite the size, but the fact that the ocean is vast and large. And if you try to fish, always remember, if a bigger fish gets your fish, you have to wrangle that one up too.
This
All right.
whole time, Marina's just intrigued, also listening. As she's munching and everything, it's like, oh my gosh.
As soon as Ace finishes with his grand fish story, I lean into him. I'll be like, you should tell him about the one that was bigger than the one that you caught that dragged the boat down.
Oh, man. That one was a rough day. So we caught that big fish, right? It was so big it barely fit on our boat, right? I mean, our boat right now is tiny, but we had such a bigger boat at the time. As was like 40 years ago. We had a massive boat at a time, a crew of like 20 people. We spent days and nights trying to get this fish onto our boat. You know what happened? You know what happened after we ate it? We started cooking up. We ate for like 3 or 4 days. There were like bits and pieces and bones left. And this massive, gigantic fish, I don't even know what kind, it jumped out of the water, it hit on top of our boat, and it sank it. All of us went under the water for a second. We swam up to the top. We looked down, and this fish was just eating the other one's bones. And our ship. It ripped the boards from piece to piece because it had a taste for wood, I suppose. And then it died, so we just kind of drove it to shore. It was an unfortunate day as we lost several men, but it was a good eating.
The look on the dockmaster's face when we sailed a fucking fish into the harbor. Oh my fucking god.
He asked us what we were planning on doing, and I said, well, if you got some gold, we'll keep the fish here for you. He didn't, so we didn't.
So as you're telling the story, you catch the attention of a passing, also another person who looks like a local or at least a sailor. Is going to say, he's a younger guy, he's going to say, I heard a song about this. By the way, this guy's clearly drunk. He's going to like, I heard a song about this. And completely out of key, he's going to start with, there once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was good. So in the ensuing revelry, you all are able to sort of gather the information you needed to gather, and when the time is right, make your exit from this tavern.
Oh, yeah.
So by now, it's full dark outside. So what you have essentially learned, essentially a recap here, is that the gates of the city do close at night. It is possible for, within reason, anyone to enter during the day, but you have to check your weapons at the gate if you do. And if you're caught in the city after dark and you're not supposed to be there, it's probably not great. You've also learned that there was something going on further inland that resulted in a lot of people who wouldn't have been interested in coming inland and serving in this mercenary army normally. That became a much more attractive option for them. So
I'll look at the others and be like, all right, so we can sneak our way inside. That shouldn't be too difficult. How good are all you at stealthing?
I'd like this. Pretty good.
I mean,
All right.
we stealthed fairly well when we broke out of the prison.
It's true. All right. So
we should do something about. We should do something about at least our 3 appearance. Because Marina can look like she belongs in there just by taking the cloak off and being in her normal clothes. The rest of us right now look like a whole. The rest of us look like a steaming pile of shit.
Please, it's a cold shit at best.
Marina's not going to come.
So, we could try looking like some kind of royalty, I suppose. I ain't got a whole lot of experience with that, my friend.
I think we should just try to make ourselves look tidy. You know, like we would normally look if we were going somewhere fancy with the captain.
I'll think I'm best.
I probably got some clothing in the bag. And I start reaching in and pulling shit out.
Alright, that can work. go into an alley, pull on some of the fancy clothes, and then we'll hop, skip, and jump over the walls. What's our cover story for when we get in there?
I don't know.
Oh, look at
I'm
Marina. You are the princess
can
here. You should
say-
know royal customs.
This is true, but it's not like I have any orders to be here.
Then
But-
make some up.
So it's up to you all how you play your characters and how you want to play this scene, but
Mhm.
it does bear mentioning that the Ocean Star family are essentially nobility and or royalty. Therefore, a member of their family and their entourage could ostensibly have reasons to be in the good part of town.
I'm sure I can think of something. I mean, as long as I state my name or they recognize me, it should go all right, and I shouldn't have to give too much reason. But I could simply say that you guys were assisting and protecting my transport here. I am simply a messenger of my family.
All right. Do we want
Wait.
to check out the
Wait.
gates?
Could you just walk us into the gates?
Is possible, even though it's nighttime.
Yeah. I don't know about it being night, but I probably could.
'Cause
Do we
that
want to
would be-
keep all of our weapons with you, Locke? Or, because they might check your bag. Unless you can put it somewhere.
I don't really have anywhere to stuff this bag except outside the wall. I can.
I can pretend it's just a simple bag. I mean, Princess has her bags or purse, I guess.
That's true.
Well,
They
Would
may
you
not
be
deign to look at royalties' personal belongings.
Of course. I mean, we have to be prepared for all things, or have the people around us be prepared. So,
No, we could approach the
simple
gates
reason.
even during nighttime and just say, we came here late or something, and obviously we don't want to sleep with the lesser crowd.
the riffraff?
or simply it's urgent matter.
This is true. Could be that you were urgently told to talk with the princess.
Yep.
I'm liking this plan a whole hell of a lot more.
Also make it so we don't have to hop, skip, and jump over a 40-foot wall. All right, let's
Yeah.
get this in
This
business.
is true.
Figure out how to get the hell out of it.
Well, hand her your bag, and we'll put on our clothes, and we'll get going to the gates. And then, princess, you'll be the one talking.
A little bit here. And,
My favorite part. But it's okay. It's just another conversation with another royal. So, just hope she doesn't remember me. But it's okay. It should be fine.
I'm sure the only thing she remembers is being rudely awakened.
She does. She might remember you,
Yeah.
Locke. She was staring at you for a time.
I will stay in the shadows as long as I need to.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's probably for the best.
All right, so are you giving your weapons to Locke to put into the bag of holding, or how are you working that?
So my scimitar would be in his bag.
Okay. Sigma, are you going along with this plan?
Yep, I'm going along with it.
Okay.
And I guess I'm giving the bag to Marina as her bag.
First thing. Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be my bag now.
Her purse thing.
All right. And we'll say that with the disguise kit, you're able to do something to the bag to where it says, Balenciaga painted on the side of it or something. So just so it looks more fitting for a princess.
Gucci.
Yep.
All right. So as you approach the gate, there's more than one way into the city. And the points of access that are open at night are essentially man doors that are well guarded. It's the kind of thing where it's almost like a little castle the size of a bedroom that's built into the wall around the door. So there's obviously a couple of doors you have to get through with an inordinate amount of guards there. And as you're approaching, as you enter the ring of the torchlight or the lantern light, one of the guards is going to say, "Halt in the name of King Delarian and state your business."
Hello, my name is Princess Marina Oceanstar. I'm here to speak with the princess that has arrived recently. I've arrived late due to the pirates and bad storms of the sea.
The guards are going to look at each other, and there's a little bit of confusion. And I need you to go ahead and make a deception check for me, please.
I have total faith in you.
I am so scared right now. Do I still have that bottle?
I think so, yeah.
We'll say you drank it as you were approaching.
Very good thing you did.
Yeah, that's a 14.
15. Okay. So So the guard is pretty well sold on your story from what you can tell. And he's going to say, "Oh, well, excellent. I'm going to need you to wait here for a minute. I don't think the palace is really open to the public right now, but I'm just going to send a runner in. They'll find an inn for you, so you can get set up in the town. All right. So just I apologize for the wait. Somebody come get a bench for the princess."
Thank you so much.
As all of this is going on, you do see that there's what seems to be a sending stone built into the wall, and one of the other guards is talking into it, and they're essentially relaying information back and forth with someone else somewhere else, confirming who you are. So while this guard did believe you, there's also something of a confirmation process going on. And while that's going on, the guard who had spoken before is going to ask, "I'm sorry, I'm being told you're a Triton, right? So why are you traveling with these individuals?"
Oh, my family, at the time, my family could only find this wonderful crew as the only available at the time to deliver me over the rough seas in such short notice. Given that word travels fast about the possible upcoming war and everything, we had to act fast rather than the typical crew one would have for such royalty and protection. Things needed to work faster than expected, so we had to settle and adapt. It's not something I prefer, but it's okay.
So hold on, are you saying your family are thinking about supporting Spathen in this war?
Currently, I am not sure. That is not in my field of. It's not in my field to say so. Or just because I am the princess and royalty of the family doesn't mean I am part of the war council. That is a different part of the family, but I am simply the messenger.
I believe your mother did say that she wanted to gain some information about the Spoggins, correct?
This is true.
Ace, we're gonna do that as a deception check, and it will be with advantage.
Will do.
I don't know if that effect is still active, but since you're playing into the lie your teammate is telling.
That's a 18.
All right, so the guards are eating this up. They're really happy to be in the situation of receiving and relaying good news. And after a little bit of time goes by, at length, one of the guards who is further back, is going to step forward and say, okay, we just got word from the captain of the town guard. You all can come into town. You're going to need to proceed directly to the tavern. Well, don't worry, we'll send you with an escort. And with respect, Your Highness, I do need to check your bag. And without waiting for you to reply, he's going to put his hand into the bag of holding. And when he comes back out, he's holding a tentacle, which he's going to stare at for a moment before just, like, he looks at it like he's holding a gigantic cockroach before he just drops it. And he's going to go, okay. And while he's wiping his hand on the trousers of his uniform, yeah, go ahead. Just go.
Apparently, you don't understand the delicacies of a Triton, especially a lady's preferences. And she'll smile. Thank you for your help, of course.
So all of these guards are going to offer you a quick but formal bow out of deference for your position, and you're going to be waved through. As you enter the main part of the town, two guards essentially fall into lockstep on either side of the party, and they're escorting you to the promised inn. And what you immediately notice as you enter within the walled portion of the city is the buildings are bigger, everything is stone built, everything is clean, and it just has the look of, like, this is where the gentry, the clergy, all of the people actually in power live. At the top of the hill near the center of town, you can see a large building that can only be the royal palace, with a statue of Poseidon holding his trident out in front of it. Now, as you're being escorted to the inn, are you cooperating with the guards who are escorting you, or are you going to try to slip them? How's the party interacting with the situation?
Did we get the impression that the guards were going to, like, stay with us after we got to the inn?
What was promised is that they were going to escort you to the inn.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like it's something where they're going to be, for example, spending the night where you spend the night.
I mean, I'm not gonna make any sudden moves because, yeah.
Ace will
This is-
be following Marina's lead on this.
Yeah, Marina's going with the flow of things.
All right. So you, at some length, reach the inn, and the innkeeper is a high elf who has the look of someone who is perpetually disapproving of everyone they meet. But after a few words with the guard, they do direct you to a very well-appointed room with a couple of different chambers, and he's going to point out that, like, okay, here's your quarters, princess, and then for your lessers, there are these areas outside, and it's the kind of thing where it's clearly set up for a noble person to have their own private chamber, but they can have their servants within earshot. And he's going to say, I'll have some food brought up, and breakfast is served at dawn, and it's available for a few hours after that. I expect you won't be staying too long. I know you'll be visiting the palace, but it's an honor to have you with us. And
Thank you so much.
with that, he leaves you all to your own devices. So is the party going to try to use the cover of darkness to slip out of the inn and get into the palace, or are you going to wait until tomorrow to do something?
Probably ask Marina what her thoughts on it are.
Well, during the nights, their guards will be higher than usual. During the day, it would be easier to excuse but harder to get the princess to follow us. So at this point, I'm unsure. This is out of my field. Because I don't know how well we can slip past the guards. Even now, we couldn't be there ourselves. They sent us to the inn. So
I think it'll be better to do it during the day, just because be able to interact with her and organize it around. We'll also be able to see what the castle is like. We'll be able to see their interactions, and then if we need to go through the process, we could probably do it tomorrow night, or we can do it during the day, depending on a few factors. I doubt they will try to contact your family, as I don't think they have the resources or the time to do so. So they'll take probably your words at more or less face value.
Of course.
So that should be able to do it for now. Yeah, so try to get some sleep, and we'll get some rest, and then we'll probably wake up. Let's go wake up at dawn, and then from the sounds of it, I assume that the guards might come back at some point. So if they do, we'll go with them. If not, maybe explore the town, may try to find a way into the castle. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds like a good plan, especially since we're gonna have to play differently than you guys are used to.
Mhm.
No offense, of course.
Murder's only one tactic.
But it's a really good tactic.
It's very effective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so long as murder doesn't involve explosives, I'm always down for it.
I'd be so scared.
It's the best kind, though.
All right. So is anybody going to be doing anything in particular before you bed down for the night, or are you just taking your long rest?
Probably just take a long rest.
I am going to see if there's a way that I can use my alchemy kit and sort of the materials I have to hand to make a sleeping, sort of like a sleeping gas.
Regimen?
Yeah, you wouldn't at your level. You wouldn't have any trouble coming up with something like that.
Okay. So I haven't really shown so I just whip out the little like traveling alchemy kit that I have, and you guys just see me going back and forth with like all the little flasks and tubing, and at the end I sort of put something together into a small vial.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. Whoever gets close enough, you're gonna shake this, pop the top, and you're gonna hold it under her nose. Or you can throw it at the ground at her feet.
Okay. So she just needs to have it like splash on her or she smells it?
She needs to breathe it in. It'll knock her out.
Okay.
Should work.
That could work. It'd be kind of
Sig-
tricky, but it could work. I hope I don't make myself fall asleep.
I mean, I guess if we put it on a cloth and throw it over her face, then we'll do the same thing. For right now,
Or I can put it on myself and have her hug me.
That would be a good process, especially, maybe, we could pretend that she felt ill. Couple
Alright,
ways we could go about it.
now you got me trying to imagine how you're going to convince her to bury her face in your chest.
Or my shoulder. Or I can have it in my kind of hair.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. But either way.
Goodness, Locke.
Goblins, man.
All right.
I
So
know
that's
what
what
you
Locke is
mean.
doing. Is they're getting ready. Signa, anything from you, or are you just bedding down?
Just gonna bed down.
Okay. And I think Marina, you're the last of the ones I didn't ask.
Oh, I was discussing with Locke on how to get deal with that, but she would be bedding down.
Okay. All right. So your Mensa meeting with Locke wraps up, and you all bed down in even the servant quarters in this inn are extremely comfortable and well appointed.
Mm.
So you all bed down for the night, and that is where we're going to leave the session for today. And just wanted to mention, I'm sure Ace, you would have remembered to mention it, but on the off chance you didn't, the group won't be meeting next Monday, it looks like, but we will hopefully be meeting the following week.
Yep. So, yeah, next week we have some stuff relating to, I believe Locke's going on vacation, so we're not going to be meeting up next week, Monday. My audio is going. Sorry, my phone stopped. And I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, Locke's going to go on vacation on the 25th, so we won't be coming back that week, except for Jump Chain, which is also in a couple of hours. We're also going to be changing the schedule up a little bit, which we're going to be figuring out as time goes on, as I'm about to be getting a job here soon, and we got to move around because of Benny's job and a few other IRL factors. So if you guys are interested in keeping up with us and figuring out when we're going to go live, either follow the channel or go to our Discord, which is inside of the socials link that I just posted there, or you can check out our various other content. But the Discord is probably where you guys are going to get the most information as fast as we get out. And feel free to go follow Benny at AutisDM on TikTok, and we'll see all of you fine folks in a couple of hours when we start Jump Chain. Have a good night. Bye.
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 All right.